Hi guys, welcome. So today we're working on my Mercedes, and I talked about this a little bit in my last video, but I've gotten a check engine light twice from P0351, and that indicates a problem with ignition 1 or coil 1 and the ignition circuit. So this is a V6. There are 3 coils on this side. There are 3 coils on this side because there are 6 cylinders in total. If you had a 4-cylinder, you'd probably have 4 right on the top in the center, like my Mini does, or many other cars. Sometimes it'll be under a cover. Sometimes they'll be, accessible. In this case, this P0351 is a problem with cylinder 1. So cylinder 1 is right here, 2 is here, 3 is here, 4, 5, 6, like that. So it's behind this airbox. I'm going to work on removing this airbox. I'm just going to talk with you while I'm doing it. Let me grab a couple tools here. So I've talked a lot before. This is my 6th Mercedes, I want to say. 2 GLKs, GLC, an E-Class, her SLC, and then this is my 3rd GLK. So yeah, this is my 6th Mercedes, or our 6th Mercedes, the 6th Mercedes that I've kind of been, we'll say, responsible for keeping on the road. And growing up, my dad had 3 of them, and my mom had one. And actually, they have one right now. They have an SL550, SL500. I think it's a 550. So I have a lot of experience with these cars, and this platform, the 350 or 350 platform, it's honestly very reliable. So all I did was I removed these 2 bolts, just one here, one here. And then we're gonna there's a plastic clip right here. We'll just pop that out of the way and let me unhook this duct. And then I think I have one more. I just have to disconnect this and we'll be able to remove this air intake. Disconnect our mass airflow sensor, which is right here. So these are a really reliable platform, honestly. I've had a great experience with all of them. This engine is coded the M276, M like Mercedes. Lots of other cars use engine codes like Honda's D series or B series. This is the M276, which is a 3.5 liter V6. So remove that airbox, and now we can see our coils are literally right there, easy to get at. So I'll just show you this so you can see. And we're just going to replace this front coil right here. That's the guy. So this platform, like I mentioned, is I'll just pull this clip, unplug this harness. There we go, like that. Take a look at the terminals, make sure they all look good. They do. And then we'll just unscrew these 2 screws here and we'll pop that up out. The top screw on the coil was an E10. This is an E8. So as I was saying, honestly, this platform's pretty reliable. This car has 100,000 miles on it, or just under. It's like 97 and change. But I've never really had one. I've never had one break down on me. I've never had one leave me stranded. They've always been really solid. What's happened to me is 3 times in the last week and a half while driving, I got a check engine light. And the check engine light came on, it blinked quickly and then stayed on, and the car went into limp mode, and it happened while driving down the highway. So it seems to be that it needs to be a longer trip. It needs to be something where I've been running it for a while. It needs to be from cold, and it'll happen. I'm apparently bleeding. That's cool. So here's what the old coil looks like, just like that. Nice and simple. And I have 2 new coils in the box. The OEM ones are Mercedes-Benz, but they're made by Bosch. So if you buy the ones from Mercedes, they're like $100 a piece. If you buy them from Bosch, they're like $50 a piece, same part. While I'm in here, I'm gonna pop this plug out and we'll take a look and see what it looks like. If it looks pretty new, we'll leave it go. If it doesn't look great, then we'll probably replace it and the rest on this side, especially while I have this airbox off. I have replacement plugs already for this. I just, I pulled one over there and everything looked brand new, so I just let it go. My assumption would be that somebody replaced all of the plugs at the same time. I'm gonna guess it was done around 80,000 miles because this was traded in at a dealership and there was a bunch of service work that was done at the time when it was traded in. So I'm gonna guess that that's when it was done. But you know, I don't know for sure. I don't have all of the complete records. I can just see on the Carfax when it had service at the dealer. All right. And yeah, this looks really good. So you can take a look at the tip right there. See if we can get the camera to focus. There we are. And we could see that most of the electrode is there. We can see the gap looks good, looks consistent. And this is definitely a fairly new plug. You would see this little pin right here behind my finger. You would see that pin get worn down and you would see the space between the electrode and that pin grow over time. So I'm gonna put this back, and the torque spec is important on these plugs because they are clocked based on torque. So they point in a specific direction, and the clocking is actually important on this particular engine. At least I've been advised that it is. I don't claim to be an expert, but I've been advised that it is, and if people are specifically mentioning it, I think it's worthwhile to do. Now, one of the things that I've read all over the internet is if you are replacing the ignition coils on this car, and it is a common failure item, it's a wear item, if you are replacing them, it is recommended that you use OE parts. And I know everybody always use OE parts. Most manufacturers will tell you that, but there are actually stories on the internet and pictures on the internet of people having their intake manifold explode because they used cheap coil, and the coil fired when it wasn't supposed to and basically blew up the plastic ignition or the plastic intake manifold. So this is a big plastic piece here that comes down into your intake. So there seems to be some truth behind, hey, use OEM parts. And in this case, they're not that expensive. I went to O'Reilly's and I got an Import Direct, I think was the brand name, which is like O'Reilly's house brand. It was like a $90 coil. And then I'm on my way home and I pulled up FCP Euro and I looked at them, and FCP has them for $50 a piece. So I bought two of them. It was $108 shipped for two Bosch coils, which are the OE part. And I'm just gonna return the one to O'Reilly's because I never actually installed it. So I hung on to it for a week just in case it failed, you know, and I didn't have the new one here yet. Okay, so this needs to be torqued to 20 foot-pounds, which is not a lot. It's basically right where this guy starts. So there's 20 right there, or 22 Newton meters, 23 Newton meters. So it's not a lot of torque. There we are. So this does use a strange socket. I'll show you. It's got a spline like that. It looks like a 12 point socket, but the spark plugs actually have 12 points on them, so you can't take them out with a standard six tooth spark plug socket. It's a 14 millimeter, so I can put a link below to the actual socket that you need. This one is an ARES, I think is the brand name. Yeah, ARES. They have a set, it's like 5 or 6 in a set, that I found it works for just about every single vehicle that I've ever had to change plugs on. So I'd recommend you just pick that up. Let me grab the new coil here. Yeah, so like I keep starting to say, this platform is actually really reliable. Just threw a check engine light while I was driving on the road, went into limp mode, pulled over, shut the car off, turned it back on, ran just fine, got all the way to work, everything was cool. But there was no code. So I wasn't really able to see exactly what happened. I scanned it later on and you know, I couldn't find out what caused the code. There was no pending, no freeze frame data, no nothing. It like completely cleared out. So then I ended up putting my scan tool in my car. I just put it on the passenger seat, and a couple days later it did it again. So I was able to pull the codes while it was occurring and able to see what the actual error was, which, like I said, was a P0351, which is ignition circuit open cylinder 1, or open/closed cylinder 1. And in this case it was open. And so I just screwed it in the same place that it was, pull it out, push it in, pretty simple. Plug that in, clip that in, good to go. So a little bit of research on that code shows me that you know, it's very common in these cars, that it does happen, whether it's, you know, 1 or 2 or 3, like whichever cylinder, it'll say that'll be the last number. So P0352 would be cylinder 2, et cetera, et cetera. So in this case, we knew it was cylinder 1. And I happen to know a couple Mercedes techs, so I actually just gave them a quick call, and they're like, yeah, it's definitely a coil. It's very rare that we see a harness issue or a problem with the ECU that causes it. And those are really the only things that can. So they said, you know, change the coil, you should be good to go. And I asked, should I change all 6? And they said, you don't have to, don't worry about it. Just change the one that's giving you the problem. So what I ended up doing was I actually ordered 2 coils. I have a spare one sitting here just in case I need it. And I'm just gonna pop the cover off the airbox really quick and see what it looks like inside. Is it clean or dirty? So like, this is something cool. You know, we always talk about Mercedes-Benz being kind of overbuilt. So this actually has 2 air filters. So this air filter never gets changed. That is it's part of the airbox and part of the air intake. But if this air filter failed or was not installed or whatever, like your engine still wouldn't get killed because there's another secondary filter. So this is the one that you actually change, which is the orange one over here. These are made by Miley or Hengst. I forget who the OE supplier is for these, but this is another one of those things, like if you buy the Mercedes-Benz one, it's expensive. If you buy the one from, you know, the same company that builds them for Mercedes, it ends up being a lot less expensive. There's just a little bit of crap in there. No, I did just replace this pretty recently. I just wanted to clean it out because I already had the airbox out, so it's nice and easy to do so. And they just kind of go in like that. And you don't have to take the airbox out to change the filter. You can actually do this down in there, but if you've got it out, it's a lot easier to do it this way. So screw this back together. So I kind of already knew what I needed to do, but I was able recently to get an OEM service manual and access to the OEM service software for Mercedes-Benz. So I'm going to do a separate video on that. I think it's actually really, really cool. You can go online, there's a website, and you can buy a service manual for your car, and it will, or for a particular make in this case, all of Mercedes-Benz, and I could put a VIN number in, and it will give me all the service information for my Mercedes. So usually if I have the airbox out for any reason, I clean this off. This is the mass airflow sensor. It's right here. I'll just give you kind of a quick shot of what it looks like. It's right there. You can see my finger. But basically that is it's a sensor that detects how much air is flowing through the engine, and it's responsible for a bunch of emissions related stuff. They sometimes get sometimes dirty. Often it's just a little bit of oil on them. And sometimes that can cause them to read improperly. So it's just a quick maintenance thing to just wipe it off while you have it out. So we'll get this put into place back where it was, kind of finagle a couple of these things around. Might actually be easier. Yeah, there we go. So, put this back into place. But yeah, so I want to show you guys that. I think it's actually really cool. I'll do a separate video on it because I think it'll be a little bit easier to find for people in the future. And you can get it for your car too, even if it's not a Mercedes. You can put in other makes and models and download service manuals, and sometimes it'll give you, diagnostic information like, hey, I've got a PO351. What's the steps? Well, step 1, check the coil. Step 2, check the this. Step 3, check the that, and kind of guides you in the right direction. It can also give you information on how to actually take the car apart if you've never done it before. What should you remove first? In this case, it'd probably say remove the airbox, remove the this, remove the that, and give you directions how to do that. So, but yeah, I mean, these engines really have very few flaws. Number one is those coils do fail, but like I said, this car has 100,000 miles on it, and that was an OE coil. So I don't know if it had already been replaced at some point, but generally they say they're supposed to last, somewhere in the 60,000 mile range. So number 2 is there's a seal that leaks here. Number 3, there's like cam adjusters that are right under these covers that sometimes will go. You'll get a rattle when you first start the car. I've never had any of these issues, but it's just like in some of the research that I've done. But this is my fifth car with an M276, and they've all been super solid. This is honestly the first time I've even had a check engine light in one. Not complaining. Here we are. Put that clamp back on, nice and snug. Everything looks good, and we are back together. And here's the old coil, as we can see. Pull that out, toss it. Now, as part of the diagnostic process, I'm kind of assuming that this is a bad coil, right? Could be a couple things. Could be a wiring issue. Could be an ECU issue. Could be a variety of things. Now, I'm making an educated guess based on the fact that these coils do fail, based on the fact that the wiring looks like new, based on the fact that most of the time that is the issue. One thing that you could do as part of a diagnostic process is you could actually move that coil to another cylinder. And then what's going to happen? Well, you're going to get the check engine light again. And this time when you scan it, it's either going to say the new cylinder that you moved that to, or it's going to say the same one that had the issue originally. So you're kind of separating the variables, right? So I think the problem is the coil. If I move the coil to cylinder number 2, does cylinder 2 go down, which indicates that the problem actually is the coil? Or does cylinder 1 still have the problem, which indicates it's not the coil, it's some other problem? It could be the plug, could be the wiring, could be something else. Although I don't think the plug could actually cause this error. I mean, there's probably a situation where it could, but it's talking about a lack of connectivity to the actual coil itself from the ECM. So, that's upstream of the spark plug, but who knows? So just kind of put our tools away here. It's just a nice, easy one today. Honestly, I don't really expect that I'm going to have problems again in the future. If I do, and another coil goes, I've got a spare. If I don't, then if I don't ever have another coil go, well, I still have a spare. It'll go with the car to the next person. I like FCP Euro for this type of stuff especially. They've got a really good parts lookup tool. They show you OEM alternatives, like in this case Bosch makes the Mercedes-Benz plugs. Buy the Bosch one instead. They're fast shipping. I mean, reasonably fast. It's not, it's not Amazon, but it's certainly not bad. And they do, a whole bunch of other things on there as well, like oil and filters and air filters, and basically everything that I've ever gotten for maintenance for this or the other Mercedes can be found at FCP Euro. And this is not sponsored by them. They don't pay me to do anything. I have no affiliation with them. I can't even give you a link to save some money. But I just think that they're a really good site. They're where I shop with my own money for myself. So, you know, based on that, I have confidence that you'll have a good experience with them because I always have. And they're somebody I can recommend. And I will say in the past, I've had a number of issues with ECS tuning to the point that in 2022, 2023, I stopped using them altogether. And I really did enjoy working with them before that. Now they might have gotten their stuff together, things might be better for them, but you know, there was a couple month period where everything I did with them was awful, and I just kind of stopped giving them the opportunity to have my business. That's pretty much it. Nice and simple. We got it installed. We'll start it up, make sure everything works. Fairly confident that it will. And that's pretty much it for today. This weekend, I'd like to start trying out some new chemicals. I haven't started a new line yet. I've just been working through some old stuff. So I have Luminous here now. I also have a bunch of other brands, of course, but I have Luminous here now. So maybe we'll play around with some of that, save me having to put it all away, so just to get something else out. I have Stars and Stripes sitting there, and I've been wanting to use that for a while, but like I feel like my car isn't dirty enough to justify it. No. I've thought about walking around the neighborhood and picking like the dirtiest car in my neighborhood and just asking them if I could wash it for free, kind of like SB Mowing does. I found this awful yard and I'm just going to mow it for you for free, or pressure wash your sidewalk for free, you know, that kind of thing. And the coil I plugged in when I put that together. Okay, just make sure. You'll know pretty quick if you forgot to plug something in. On this side, it's a little bit harder, so I'll just kind of show you here. You saw me remove the airbox and have access to all 3 cylinders right there. On this side, the ECM is right here, but the ECM is in a metal bracket. It sits in a bracket, just like the airbox sits in a bracket on that side. This sits in a bracket right here. So what you can do is unscrew the top of the ECM and you can kind of pick it up and move it all out of the way. So in the past, that's what I've done. You can also unplug the ECM and move it completely out of the way by disconnecting this, but I like to just leave it connected and kind of move it up out of the way. The cylinder back here is the hardest one to get to. It's like literally right where my finger is. It's pretty buried, but you can get in there with tools. It's not easy. This rubber all the way around, you can see this rubber gasket. This does lift up and out. It's just sitting on like a channel all the way around the whole thing. So you can lift this up and move it out. It's just designed to keep the engine. It's kind of a clean area, you know. It's got this, there's a pan on the bottom, there's grill in the front, there's rubber on the top. It just keeps everything kind of clean. So we'll start it up and make sure it's good, but that's all I have for today. Thank you for watching, and I hope you're having a great day. I've said it before and I'll say it again. These cars are really nice to work on. BMWs, Mercedes, Audis, Porsches. Not all Audis. I've worked on some Audis that were a pain and some that were not. Volkswagen tend to be a pain all the way around. But everything I've ever done to a Mercedes or a BMW, I've actually like enjoyed working on the cars. Especially when they keep everything so clean. It's kind of nice. So that's all I have. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.